It took a long time to get here. I climbed up hill in a snowstorm with no footwear. It seems like Drumatic just popped up out of...
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Drumatic. I'm back again. Today we're going to talk about that Eminem interview and some other stuff. But that's what we're going to start with. If you remember in the last interview, he kind of left out some things. It's like right when he got to the Joe Budden part, it wasn't happening. He changed the subject, started talking about the MGK stuff, went on about the Haley stuff a little bit, and that was it. Didn't want to talk about the Joe Budden stuff at all. One of the guys that commented on my video had said that he thinks that that was probably going to come up in this interview, and he was right. Em starts off the interview basically addressing the whole Joe Budden and Slaughterhouse thing. So most of you would know Joe Budden was in a group called Slaughterhouse with Joel Ortiz, Crooked I, Royce the 5'9", and Joe Budden. Those four guys are really dope MCs. He got guys from different regions, some of the best lyricists in their region, and built like a super group. So everyone was really excited that Slaughterhouse was gonna be this like MC group that kind of broke through the mainstream, you know, broke the mold, and you know, it's like if Horseshoe Gang make it through or something, you know. He begins to touch on the whole, bro, you don't have to go off on Untouchable. If you don't like Untouchable, just say you don't like it. You don't have to go off and call it trash. He's like, I have a platform. I travel the whole world pushing Slaughterhouse and trying to forward them as a group and try and see where they can go. But when you get a platform, and as big as it is, because like you were saying, he's got one of the bigger hip-hop platforms, and he's like, and you can kind of shift things because your platform's so big and you're on the team, but Joe chooses to blast Eminem instead of use the platform to kind of uplift the team. That was M's big issue. So a lot of people wondered why he took it so personal. He feels like he'd done a lot for Joe, and he likes Joe, but he just felt like it was some cheap shots, some bullshit, trash talk. He felt like he was trashing the album and being way too hard when he really didn't need to. He thinks there's a difference between just critiquing something and giving feedback and then just ripping something to pieces. Now, I will say this though. People did shit on Revival. Revival did not get much of a chance at all. People were just hard on it. I mean, not plenty of views. I'm sure there's lots of people out there that like it. I saw Crooked I address the issue a little bit. And I know he's not on Joe's side. He's more on Eminem's. And that's what I would figure, because if you really look into this stuff, really it's just Joe. No one else in Slaughterhouse has an issue. He said they got to a point where everything was kind of stagnant. So Joe had approached the group and said, hey, why don't we all do solo projects to kind of keep the momentum going since we're not doing much as a group. So they all did their own thing. Royce did his own thing. Crook did his own thing. Everyone kind of, but there was still Slaughterhouse. And M said he was kind of waiting on them to kind of deliver a package and get that thing put together, because last time they got together, there was some really good music, really good beats, and everything was cool. But they didn't agree on everything. So he's like, why don't y'all go back to the lab, come back when you have a couple more songs or whatever, and get everything kind of squared away, and we'll go from there. And it sounds like they didn't do that. And more than likely, that's just because they were doing their own thing and had their own careers going. So, I mean, like I said, Joe Budden's doing the podcast, Everyday Struggle at the time, and all that stuff. So every time Joe went on Everyday Struggle and blasted M, it just pissed him off. All these guys doing their own thing, it was probably hard for them to all kind of get on the same page. So it sounds like Glass House was gonna happen and was this close to happening. As far as I know, it was pretty much done. They just couldn't decide on certain songs, and so they decided to just kind of, you know, put it on hold for a minute, and then kind of all this happened. I saw an interview with Crooked I a while ago when he was talking about how Joe Budden didn't like one of his verses because it was an older song. They had made it months prior. He was sick of it and was kind of like, yo, I could probably write something better for that now. Let's change that. And a few of the guys were like, nah, just keep it. And a few of the guys were like, well, I guess we could do that. And I heard that kind of held up the process too. So Joe kind of just put a lot of kinks in the project by being opinionated, just kind of holding things up. When I used to watch Everyday Struggle, I was a big Joe Budden fan. He was like, people used to always compare me to him because I can be so bold and people take it wrong sometimes. I can be misunderstood because of my honesty. I just have a certain way of talking to people sometimes because I'm a producer and a lot of people come to me for help, and so I'm just so used to just kind of giving my advice to people, you know, kind of like just do this, and sometimes people take it wrong. I feel like Joe's the same way. I feel like he's not always deliberately trying to be a jerk. Like, people think he's a dick. I don't really think Joe's a dickhead. I just think that Joe can be overly honest and unfiltered at times when maybe he should be filtered or more reserved. But, you know, on a hip-hop show, when you're just talking the truth, I mean, why do you have to like everything? I mean, if you don't like it, it's okay, you're not hating. Joe did his thing. He was always honest. I felt like Academics is just kind of a gamer nerd. I don't hate that guy either. It's just I felt like he wasn't really in tune with music as much. He likes more of the younger trap stuff, which is okay. I like a lot of that too, but I felt like when it came to some of the other stuff, he just couldn't relate. So if they were talking about that stuff, it was kind of out of his league. At least Joe's around for both. Ak was only around for like what's now, you know, if that makes sense. He was pretty clear about the fact that it's probably not going to happen. He thinks that Slaughterhouse is an amazing group. He thinks everybody in the group is amazing. He says he tried really hard to get this thing to move and get it out there and make these guys superstars because he thinks they're amazing, but it just didn't work out. And it sounds like Joe might be a little bitter about that. So let me know what you think about that, because I mean, I'm a big Slaughterhouse fan. Eminem mentioned that the album was too clean. People said it was too polished. They're too grimy to be having such a clean album. And in case you don't know what that means, I think what they're trying to say is, when you're talking about like grimy boom bap MCs like Royce or Joel and those guys, or Joe, you have to remember they don't really make mainstream music. It's not stuff you're gonna hear on the radio every day. It's more for the MCs, it's more for the heads. And so people expect a certain sound. They kind of want to be more grimy. It's not really about sounding all perfect, and you don't have to have Rihanna on the hook and all that, because they don't even really want to hear that. They'd rather hear, just give the dude grimy beat, some boom bap with like maybe a couple sounds on top and let him do the rest. So I get it, I understand it. I know people wanted the grimy MC from those guys in particular. That's the kind of the big key there, is that would be good with those guys. Those were all really good MCs from different areas, and I think it would have been cool. So R.I.P. to Slaughterhouse, man. It's too bad it didn't work out, man. It's cool to hear Eminem's side of the story. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. You think M's sugarcoating this stuff, trying to cover up a lot of the stuff that Joe Budden said, you know, because Joe was saying he's never around. Eminem saying, oh, I know I was always out on tour kind of promoting your platform. Do you think Joe had a right to be trashing Eminem's album if he didn't like it? Or do you think maybe he should have just took a different route since Eminem is his boss? Leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to do some more videos on this interview, so watch out for those. My name's Drumatic. This is Drumatic Reviews. I'll see you next time. Peace.